You have your unit test today, and then tomorrow you will have your first TGA for math for the semester, which the link for the TGA in ClassKick, if you'd like to do it in ClassKick, is inside that assignment. So if you go on your calendar to tomorrow, you'll be able to find the link there. The link that you are clicking today is for the study guide only. Okay, look up at the top. It has big letters that say study guide. If you turn in the TGA study guide as your actual TGA, you will get a 0. Okay, they are not the same thing. They look very similar. The problems are set up the same. However, we use different numbers so that we can show you guys how to solve the problems. And then you get the same problems with different numbers to solve on your own for the real graded assignment. Okay, so do not submit what we do in class together today, tomorrow for your real TGA. They are not the same thing, even though they're both in ClassKick, blah, 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 blah. If it says study guide at the top, you don't need to turn that in anywhere. Okay? Any questions about that? If you have not already, click the link in the chat box. It will take you to your own copy of the study guide, which I promise you will help you tremendously on your real TGA that you have tomorrow. Okay, so go ahead and click on that if you have not already. We're going to start up at the top. So this is what your study guide for your TGA looks like. Let me move this window real quick. And I'm actually going to be completing it in ClassKick as well. I just like the tools better in there. So I'll screen share in just a second, but I want to give y'all enough time to get that. So you're just going to click on the link. You should not have to log in. All you need to do is type in your first and last name and then click the green button and it will take you to your own copy. Now, remember, this does not automatically save to your computer by itself. When we're finished writing, you're going to have to export it to your downloads of your computer, which is very easy to do. I'll show you how to do that at the end. Okay, any questions before we get started today? Also, take notice that your TGA study guide and the real TGA are 2 pages for this TGA. Okay, there are 2 pages. Miss Johnson, is y'all's for the ACM course 2 pages or is it 1?
It's 2 pages and we did put it in a ClassKick, so it is in the instructions as well. But yes, it's 2 pages as well. Okay, perfect. So make sure when you do your ClassKick that both pages are completed, because the last page is 1/3 of your grade. So don't forget that last page. KJ, yeah, probably so, but we do have like 50 new students, so. Oh no, Zachary. I hate that. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to pull ClassKick up here and open a preview so you guys can see it. All right, if you're just logging in, click the link in the chat box for me. Get your own copy of the study guide today. We're about to get started. Ooh, Bubba, that's not good. Hopefully you can get caught up. All right, let me start my screen share here. Make sure you are ready to go. You've got your pen tool selected. You've got your color picked out. Here is what it looks like in ClassKick. So pen tool is right here. I like to change the color to something I can see a little bit better. Let's do purple today. And I also like to change the thickness of my pen because it starts off at 5, which is pretty thick. So I'm going to change mine to 2. And we will get started. You don't have to put your name and date on this one. It's just your study guide. Only you will have access to it. Why does the Math TGA say it's locked?
Talia, I do not know. Do I do this at Zayden, check your grade book. If it says EX, then you're exempt and you don't have to. But if it doesn't say EX, then you're not exempt. Talia, I don't know why it would be locked. Let me look at that real quick because that's going to stress me out. Okay, assignments. .16. Ouch.
Someone said you got to do the test first and refresh, and then it unlocks. At least it did for them. So you have to take part 1 before you can open part 2.
Yep, that is true. I forgot about that. Yes, y'all. So for your math course, and it should be all of your courses, but not all teachers have set it up. It's called sequential ordering. So for each module, you have to go in order. So if you haven't done the very first thing in the module, it will have everything else grayed out underneath it. I've done part 1. That's the things. I don't know. Maybe I need to refresh again. Talia, maybe so. We'll look at that at the end, though. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so this is, again, for those of you that weren't in here earlier, this is your study guide for the TGA that's due tomorrow. Okay, please make sure when you are turning your document in tomorrow that it is not the study guide, it is the actual TGA. And it's very easy to tell because the study guide up here says study guide in big old letters. Okay, you don't ever need to turn your study guide in for anything for math. Okay, outside of that, let's go ahead and get started. Here is question number 1. You can see question number 1 has a graph with it that you will need to use to answer these questions. Okay, same thing on the real TGA. So question number 1 says the graph shows the progress of a train traveling between cities. So up on the y-axis, it shows the distance or the distances in kilometers. And on the x-axis, it shows the time or hours. So 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and 4. Part A says, how far does the train travel in the 4-hour journey? What do y'all think? So you need to look at your graph, go over to 4 hours, and then go up until it crosses the line. So right here, how many kilometers for 4 hours? I'm going to turn the chat box back on. Y'all change your chat box to go to room for me instead of staff. Yes, very good. So that's how you read this graph. You just go over to however many hours you want and up until you hit the line, which is right here at 240 kilometers. So that's all you need to put for number 1, 240 km, which just stands for kilometers. Diana, that's okay. Go ahead and click the link at the top of the chat box to get your own copy. This is the study guide for the TGA tomorrow. All right, let's look at part B. It says, write down a rate which compares the distance traveled with the time taken. So what was the total distance that they traveled here? Where does their line end? Y'all think? Where does their line end at? What distance? No, hours are not a distance. The hours on the bottom is time. The distance is up the side. Yes, 240. So let's put 240 on top. That's the total distance. And then on the bottom, which is our units, how long did it take them? How many hours? Very good, Zayden, 4. And that's all you have to do for B. You're just creating a rate, which is typically shown in fraction form. 240 over 4. Yep, that was pretty easy. Okay, part C, you need to think about it a little bit. Okay, part C said, what was the speed of the train for this journey? What do y'all think? What was the speed of the train for this journey? How could we figure that out? There's a couple of ways. You definitely need to divide, or remember, unit rates are out of 1. So if you go to 1 unit, which is right here, and you go up and it's perfectly in the middle of all 4 squares, that is your unit rate, which for this one, they went 60 miles in 1 hour, aka 60 miles per hour. So you can write that right here, 60 mph, which means miles per hour. However, if you did not know that, you could just solve your unit rate. So you would take 240 divided by 4, and you would get 60.
Yeah, kilometers.
Yes. Wait, what?
Kilometers instead of miles.
Oh, yes. I was like, what? Yes, it needs to be kilometers per hour. Kilometers per hour. So you can do the exact same thing with any of these numbers. So if you had 3 hours, it perfectly sits in the middle of 4 squares. So you could do 180 divided by 3. You'd get the same thing. You could also do 120 divided by 2. You get the same thing. They all equal 60. Okay, any questions on number 1? That's all you need to do for number 1. Is anybody still writing? Okay, let's move on. Scroll down to question number 2. It says the cost that a carpet cleaning company charges is directly proportional to the number of rooms cleaned. The cost is $22 for each room. Okay, write a direct variation equation to represent the cost. So for this one, all it wants is an equation. So we're going to put the cost, which is capital C, is equal to what? What do y'all think? We don't know how many rooms, so we need to use a variable here. What equation could you write to solve? You can plug in numbers for however many rooms. What do y'all think? Very close, Zayden. Drop one of those variables. Yes, good, Eden. So the cost, or C, is equal to $22 times, I'm just going to use X. Okay, X represents the number of rooms. So if you cleaned 10 rooms, you would multiply 22 times 10. That would give you the cost, total cost. Okay, so that's all you need to write for part A. The cost is $22 times X. And if you just squish 22 and X together, we know they're being multiplied. Yep, Marvin, you could also use R for rooms. You can use any variable that you would like. All right, let's look at part B. It says, how many rooms can a hotel pay the company to clean for $200? Write and solve an equation. Okay, what do y'all think about that one? You're going to make a proportion. Marvin, I actually do agree. It does make more sense to use R, but you can use whatever you'd like. Good, Zayden. Yep, that's 1 ratio. So we've got 200, which is the amount of money they have on this side, over 22, which is how much it costs per room. And we need to set that equal to what? And actually, if you think about it, you don't even really have to make a proportion. You could just solve this ratio. But if you wanted to, you definitely could. You do divide, Tyler. Very good. Tyler, will you change your chat box to go to the room instead of to staff? Okay, so if you just wanted to solve this ratio, how would you solve this? 200 over 22. What does a fraction tell us to do? Yes, divide. So somebody type that in your calculator and tell me what you get. I'll just go ahead and let you know. It's kind of a wonky decimal. Yes. 200 divided by 22 is 9.09090909. So I'm just going to put 0.09 repeated. So to answer the question, they could clean 9 whole rooms. So I'm going to use my text tool and type that. They can clean 9 total rooms. So even since it's a little bit over 9, it isn't all the way to 10. So they can only clean 9 whole rooms. Okay. So if you get a decimal, the whole number is how many rooms they can clean. All right. Any questions on that one? I know some of you are probably still writing, so we'll take a minute here. All right, about 10 more seconds. And we're going to go over to page 2. If you're already finished with question number 2, go ahead and swap over to the second page. And you can do that at the top up here where these arrows are. You can either click that and go to slide 2, or you can just click over right here. All right, let's move on. This is what page 2 looks like. You only have one question here. It has 2 parts to it, and you have another table to work with. So it says a boarding kennel mixes dry dog food and wet dog food to feed the dogs. The table shows the mixture for different amounts. Okay, so in this column, it has the amount of cups of dry dog food. So 4.5 cups, 6 cups, 9 cups, and then we'll have to figure this one out. On this side, it has the ounces of wet dog food. So 1.5 ounces, 2 ounces, 3 ounces, 5.5 ounces. So the first question that they ask you, part A right here, is this table proportional? Okay. Well, to figure that out, you've got to do some division, and you need to know which one of those columns is your X, which one is your Y. And remember to figure that out. If you think about the unit rate, remember it's Y over X. So X is your unit. Okay. For this one, go back to my class kick. Your Y is going to be the dry dog food, and the wet dog food is your X. However, it does not really matter if you didn't know that and you swapped these up. and you put X on one side, Y on the other side, and worked it out in the same way that I work it out, you will still get the same answer for part B. Okay. So to figure out if this is proportional or not, we need to do the unit rate for each one of these rows. Okay. So remember unit rate and write that over off to the side. Unit rate is what we have to use to see if it is proportional. Unit rate is Y over X, or Y divided by X. So we're going to start solving these and see if they all equal the same thing. If they do, then we know it is proportional. Okay. So let's set them up. We've got 4.5 divided by 1.5. Then we've got 6 divided by 2. And then we've got 9 divided by 3. All right. Somebody solve one of those and tell me what you get. What is 4.5 divided by 1.5? 3. Very good. And what is 6 divided by 2? 3. And then what is 9 divided by 3? Very good. It's also 3. So since these are all the same, the answer to part A is yes. And then I'm going to put a comma and just draw an arrow up here to my work, because part of this is to show and explain your work right here. And we did that up there at the top. So make sure that you write that out, and then you can just draw an arrow up to the top where you solved it. All right, any questions on that part yet? Okay, we'll scroll down just a little bit, and let's look at part B. Oops. Part B says, how much dry dog food is used with 5.5 ounces of wet dog food? Show your work. So to do this, we need to create a proportion for ourselves. So 2 ratios. You can choose the first ratio for any of these. It doesn't matter which one. I'm just going to use the top one. Okay, so that would look like this: 4.5 over 1.5. Okay, that's our first ratio. Then we need to make another ratio and set them equal to each other. So equals, what in the world? Equals, since on this ratio, the dry dog food is on the top, in your second ratio, the dry dog food needs to be on the top. So for the second ratio, we're looking at this pairing, and there's a question mark under dry dog food. So that means we need to put a variable. I'm going to use X. And on the bottom, the 1.5 was the wet dog food. So it needs to be the wet dog food in the second one, which is 5.5. And now we have ourselves a proportion that we can solve. Now, y'all tell me in the chat box, how do we solve proportions? What do we do? What's those 2 magic words? We'll change my color up for this one. Very good. Kimball, Annabelle. Yes, Alyssa Colton. We cross multiply. So I'm going to start with this one because it's the easiest. 1.5 times X is just 1.5X equals 4.5 times 5.5. Somebody type that in your calculator for me. 4.5 times 5.5. And what do you get? Kendall, it should be a decimal. 24 point what? There you go. 24.75. Okay. Now the goal is the same as always, to get the variable by itself. is currently being multiplied by 5.1. So how can we undo that? It's the opposite of multiplication. Division, very good. So we're going to divide by 1.5 over here. That gets rid of it right there. We're left with x. And what is 24.75 divided by 1.5? Good. Good, Kendall, Clint, Annabelle, Alyssa. It is 16.5, and they were asking about dry dog food, and that's cups. So I'm just going to put a C for cups, 16.5 cups. And that is it. So that's the whole study guide for your TGA tomorrow. When you go to do your real TGA, you will realize just how similar these are. So if you save your notes today and pull them up to use on your real TGA tomorrow, you shouldn't have any trouble making a really good grade on that. So let me show you how to export it real quick once you're finished. Delilah, I'll show you. Okay, Talia, that's fine. So once you're finished writing everything you want on your study guide, to export this to your downloads, all you have to do is go up here to the top left-hand corner to that little person icon, click on it, click export to PDF, and then click this green export button. It's going to save to the downloads of your computer with this title, which is 1.16 graded assignment study guide, and then it'll have your name behind it. So click the person icon, export to PDF, and then click the green export button. Okay, are there any questions about that? Paris. Yeah, I can stay on it. Here, let me move this box. And I can go back to any of the ones that you might need. Since I did it in ClassKick, it didn't delete them. Yeah, well, I can go back to it. To export it, watch my screen. You go up here to this little person, click on it, click export to PDF, click the green export button. Okay, I'm going to scroll up. I'm going to go back to page 1. Here's number 1. And then y'all let me know when you want me to scroll down for number 2. Okay, Kimball, I'll give it just another minute. Yes, if you are finished, you are free to go. The only thing I will say before you leave today, you have your first unit test of the semester. And let me just tell you, if you do not do well on your unit test, it will greatly affect your grade. So please make sure that you use the study guide that we did together last week, because it is just like the test. The numbers are just different. Okay. If you don't have your study guide, you didn't save it, you can go back on your calendar, go back to was it Wednesday, Miss Johnson, that we did it? Or Monday?
I believe it was Wednesday that we did it.
Okay, I think it was Wednesday too. So you can go back to your calendar, go to last Wednesday. If you click on our session, like you're trying to join the live session, click, instead of join session, click open playback room. That's how you get to the recordings. Okay, and you want to watch the recording from January 21st. Paris, are you talking about for the TGA or for the unit test? Talia, that is awesome. Thank you, Zayden. For the TGA, you have two options. So you can print it and write on it and then take a picture of it and upload it that way, or you can do it directly in ClassKick like we just did this one. Export it and then upload your ClassKick to the assignment. All right, let me scroll down. Here's number 2. Once you guys have number 2, or really once you have all of them, you are good to go unless you have a question for me or Miss Johnson. Bye, Kendall. Y'all have a great rest of your day. Bye, Diana. Bye, Annika. Bye, Talia. Bye, Madeline. Y'all let me know if you have a question. Bye, Logan. No, Kimball, this is just the study guide. You do not need to turn this in at all. This is just to help you with the real graded assignment that's tomorrow. Yes, Raphael, you can. The recording will be posted in about 30 minutes.